It's game 2, Grandin. Mega up 1-0 in our grand finals. 3 wins locks your ticket to the midseason invitational. And for Empire, you know what? If you lose that first game, you can fight back. You lose the second game, though, and you're down to 0-2, that's when the mentality really starts to hit you.
Look, if I'm going to be honest, Opal, I don't like this head pickup coming in for Mega. Unless this is the pick that they're going to work with when they go into MSI, if they manage this win, then I cannot advocate this pick, because it just goes to show that they're defaulting back to a comfortable strategy rather than trying to actually progress and improve as a team.
Well, this is something we have seen from Big Fafa, the coach that came from Korea with Jaejun and Pop. He doesn't necessarily play what's meta, he plays what's comfortable for the players, and that's where they can use their skill expression to win these matchups. But like you mentioned, if G4 is not able to find those targets, and it is hard to actually get on top of Azaya as Zen. You use Deathmark, you're going to have a Feather Storm to try and get you out of trouble. It's going to be a big one, though, if he can get on top of Carino multiple times, even running the barrier in mid lane on the Azir just to try and stay as safe as possible.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to lock down onto Shine, onto Ravina, so I expect Carino to try and optimize towards that Zonya's Hourglass early on, so we can get a little bit more survivability. But again, you know, it comes back down to G4 Zed is such an absolute menace, even with the safety that the Feather Storm, that the pull provides on the South Empire. I don't doubt that G4 is going to go right in and try and kill them anyway.
See here, both junglers actually going to opt to start toward their top side of the map and make their way down towards in the river to try and spot out the enemy jungler. So we'll see some action down toward that bot lane. Either way, though, push is going to come out early from Rocky. This bot lane, though, this is going to be the Xayah and the Rakan. Lots of nerfs have come to the duo. Has seen a resurgence here, though, during our major. I mean, a couple times. Oh, here you go. That's an instant level 2. Zar is not paying respect. He doesn't get chunked too far, but again, immediately called by Pop, and that's why he was the man of the match last game.
Yeah, they're on this Rakan right now, and we talk about how the bot lane, this Lovers duo has seen a number of nerfs coming into recent times, but let's be real here, it's mainly just the Rakan. And even going forward, Rakan sees more and more substantial nerfs that is kind of taken away from his identity and from his power. So moving into this, being able to find at least a little bit of power in the bot lane early for the Rakan is going to be a blessing, honestly. I think that he's only going to be really useful once they start rotating around the map.
See Junjun already coming down here. We've seen this before. This looks very familiar, Grandin, except this time it's Mega looking to make this play. Jaejun might have to be a bit careful here. Is going to go ahead and flag drag immediately, and luckily for them, Empire, Caspel was nearby, shows their hand, and maybe Mega don't make the same mistake Empire did in game 1.
That was hilarious. I mean, MG literally had the champions that EMP had last round as well.
And it was identical what it was looking like, too.
Exactly. The only difference was this time Caspel was in position to go for the counter gang, so MG taking the more prudent option and not opting for that early kill. Instead, they're going to back off, take some time to reset. This also means they find out where Caspel is. This gives a little bit more freedom over to June, who should be able to try and pick up more control around the river.
Also seeing here, Brandon, that is a Klepto Vladimir coming out here for Shine this time around, and already getting harassed out pretty heavily by Rocky. We've seen this matchup a couple times during the major and a couple times during the minor, where the Vladimir early can have a lot of difficulty, especially against that Sylas, just from the base damages.
I think it's a kind of a gamble against the Sylas, right? If you have the Sylas going in with Klepto as well, then you can try and go and sustain in lane up against Sylas. You know, both of you guys just trade back, try and pick up a couple of items from the Kleptomancy. But knowing how powerful Rocky is as a top laner, how skillful he is, it's a risk I wouldn't take. But up top side, looks like they want to try and make a play here.
Look at that, Shine's pushing in. He has that pool available. Double knock-up, not going to connect. Only the knock-up from Rocky, as the pool was able to avoid the flag drag. So Shine able to keep his flash for the next gank, but still early pressure coming out from the Jarvan from the side of Mega.
I mean, that's still beating, and Empire just expanded their teleport up top side. Shine already down to just 300 health. This is a difficult position to work from. Has to try and clear out this wave as well. It's going to be difficult. Casper needs to try and make his way up top side, pressure against Rocky so there isn't that kill threat in the top lane. But it might be difficult to do, seeing how G4 is always trying to put a little bit more pressure in the mid lane.
Caspel here in the mid lane, going to try and get on top of G4. Gets away, though, with the shadow. Nicely done. gets himself to safety, and Caspel not able to connect directly there as freezing in place here, Grant.
I mean, the fact that Caspel has been able to at least match the movements from the Javan, try and jump in, provide a little bit of CC, a little bit of pressure in the different places of the map, is going to be a good play coming in from Caspel. So I think the main issue for Empire right now is that, as a team that genuinely likes to give up the early game lead, they need to try and look to build up the momentum a little bit more. Because MG isn't going to just let them have the isn't just going to take the early game lead and then throw it away. They're going to take that early game lead, keep it, and then work into something more later on.
Here, Dejun going to go ahead, take the scuttle. It is going to be an Infernal Drake to start things off here for our first Dragon of the game. As taking a close look across the board, a little bit of a ward coming out from Empire toward that red buff. Yeah, Shine, this, again, yet it's a tough lane. Vladimir says, you know what, I just don't want to hold on. That's all I'm asking for. Let me hold on, and then let me team fight later on.
Yeah, but still, that's going to be Ronki being able to come back around to the top side.
On top of that, too, during that little bit of a skip we had, it was a flash expended by Shine.
Yeah, and that's even more prominent, right? Because Rocky's just going to be able to come back into lane, has even more kill pressure up against Vladimir. Looks like we're back into our normal screen, Opal.
Hey, there we go. I was wondering what's going on there. I was like, you know what? I always wanted to take a really close look at League of Legends, but from an analytical point, not from a physical viewpoint. Either way, it's only a 200 gold lead for Empire. As far as things go, it's still a pretty even game, and this is kind of what we saw before here during Game 1, Grant.
Yeah, honestly, it's like same but different, right? We come on the early game. The only big difference in the start of game number 1 was that failed dive, and that kind of gave the advantage over onto Mega for a little bit. And you're like, yeah, Mega can kind of work with this, but it wasn't substantial enough. It didn't feel like the actual tempo of the game had shifted over towards Mega. Just a little bit of gold heading into their favor. But what I'm really looking out for right now, and what I really want to try and see coming in from Mega, is a little bit more dominance, a little bit more control. Considering they are a fully salaried team and a professional team at that, you would expect from them a level of gameplay, a standard of gameplay that is supposed to be able to, dominate some of the other teams.
Well, we're going to go ahead and back out there. As you guys saw, it looked like we had a bit of a disconnect coming out from Mega, so hopefully we can sort that out. Again, they're all at the same house, so luckily the pause went on through, as a lot of these teams are usually at the same location. So if one person goes down, usually everyone's going down. It's also good. It was a mass disconnect. It wasn't just Pop that was disconnecting, because we were concerned, Pop, this was a guy who checked himself into the hospital earlier on in the day. I think that team actually sent him to the hospital. He checked himself out because he was like, I got to play here in the major. I got to help get my team to MSI.
What a baller, honestly.
No, like, legitimately, that's insane.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I tell the guy, like, League of Legends, I agree. League of Legends is awesome. Health first, man.
Health first.
But he, like we mentioned, was able to pick up that man of the match earlier on the Braum. This time is on the Galio too. Can look for a lot of playmaking potential there if he has the flash and taunt up. But again, we'll have to see here, as again, I'm hearing word that we should be getting this sorted out pretty soon.
Yeah, in last game, it did look like Empire had an idea of how to play out the position, but honestly, putting G4 on the Lissandra, that's kind of a waste. That's a waste, right? That's like having the fastest sports car you could have and then try and make it drive long distance. Instead, you should look at G4 as that big carry potential, that big mid lane kill threat, and then say that, you know what? How do I get this person, this carry in the mid lane to a stronger point so that he's able to have more impact coming into this? Because putting him on the Lissandra probably wasn't the best option. I think that you put Pop on Galio, you put it on something like Braum, and then you have June going on this Java, and they can do so much more than if you try to put G4 on Lissandra.
Well, has that level 6 available. Zaire nearby. I think Mega realized something's up here. They're getting a little suspicious. They're like, hey, where did that Rakan go? Caspel is nearby. Could look to use the slingshot to try and get in range. Lloyd does have his ultimate available if he gets one auto attack onto the AD carry. He can look to just engage, but guess what? That quickness, instant engage into the Featherstorm, but the Blade Caller won't be able to do enough. Both flashes burned by the bot lane, as well as the heal from the Kaisa. And that is going to be both flashes down for the flash of Caspel and the Rakan.
Summoner's being burnt across the board. MG barely managed to get away from that one. Very well played from the Kaisa, being able to jump so far away from the range of Caspel there. Caspel being able to hit those tracking strikes. That was impressive. He almost managed to pull them back together close enough for the team to dish out more damage, but Ribena still at an early stage of the game doesn't have the damage that he needs. But up top side, what's going on here?
Shine, his emo play gets used against him. They're going to trade back health and forth. You know, he gets a little bit of health, I get a little bit of health. Rocky, though, still applying pressure here on the Silas. And Shine, he's got to be careful here. I think he has cool, but I don't know for how long. And that's just first blood going on over to Rocky as he takes him down with the Kingslayer.
Look, it's time to stop looking at Rocky as every other top laner in Southeast Asia. You can't disrespect the man like that. Rocky is so good at League of Legends. Shine is too, but he needs to respect the fact that Rocky is gonna play better than a lot of the opponents that he's been able to face so far, and he's not gonna be able to roll over Rocky like he has been for a lot of these other players. So Shine needs to adapt his playing style for the opponent he's going up against. Recognize that he needs to give up more if it means that he's able to stay alive and stay relevant in the game.
Because, you know, Rocky coming over from with G4 and Lloyd there from Ascension Gaming.
Oh,
you know,
my goodness.
Oh, Lloyd! Speaking of the man, going to go ahead and pick up a kill. Rocky also coming along with them. Warlock was actually the top laner for Mega, but realizing that Rocky could add so much more to the team, he had to step back as a coach. Let's take a look here up toward the top lane on what happened with Shine and Rocky.
I mean, honestly, at this point, Shine has teleport. I'm not exactly sure what the intention was trying to stay here. It seems pretty obvious that Rocky's going to kill you at this point. Like, you see a health bar at this point, you go, yeah, this is probably a point where I need to try and back off, but oh my goodness, what's going on back on the main
I
screen?
see a Rift Herald being toe-to-toe here. That was G4's ultimate. Anybody going to still... Oh, it goes on over to Empire in the end. G4's now in the pit. He has Flash available. Caspiel's going to get away with this somehow. How the hell did Empire just get Rift Herald?
It was a straight back. All right, so
okay.
Mega managed to pick up the Infernal Dragon, so they invest resources down bot side, and then Empire strike back. They go up to the top side, get that Rift Herald, so at least trade back with some objectives there.
Last time, though, we saw Empire get the Rift Herald. They didn't do a whole lot with it. They had to use it right away, and they had to use it on the timer because Caspiel wasn't really able to find an opportunity in the lane. So, sure, you trade back the Rift Herald, but you need to actually use it in order to gain that value.
Yeah, there's no way that Mega is going to give up any turret plating gold whatsoever to their opponents. The one good thing that they have coming into this game is that because G4 is playing on that Zed, you actually do have a bit of a window in the mid lane. If you can send your resources, send your players over to the mid side, you can proc the Rift Herald there and look to try and pick up some turret plating gold.
Additionally here, take a look at the disparity in items just in the mid lane. G4 has gone back already. Carino has been trying to stay in lane on this Azir for quite a long time, Grandin. Like, he's got 118 CS. He should get a component here soon onto one of these items. You see the cloth armor, so he's going to rush, of course, that Zhonya's like you mentioned, but that does delay a bit of his damage.
I mean, I'm not all too worried about waiting this long to go and get the itemization because, you know,
I was worried if they were going to break out into a fight there. That was what I was concerned. He's able
of course.
To get some.
But as you mentioned, what I am concerned about is going for these defensive item choices, meaning he's going to lack the damage going into the phases of the game. Because as you mentioned, team fights are something that Empire and Mega thrive off of. As long as they get into the team fight, I'm not sure the Azir is going to be able to match the kind of impact G4 is going to have on Zed.
You're pretty much relying on that lethal tempo, and that means you have to stay safe during the fight. So you're going to have G4. He's going to try and ult right on top of you, try and force you to have to use that Zhonya as that stopwatch right away. And guess what? You're lethal time. Oh my goodness, Rocky! Looking to just assassinate this Vladimir.
Recall.
Need to recall Shine. You have to give up this tower, or else Rocky's going to get the tower and your life. Rocky's 2 levels ahead of this Vladimir.
Yeah, just being able to find every bit of power around top side. They should recognize that Azir is moving up top side. Flash on Rocky available. So they should look to try and make a play on the other side of the map if they can. But Azir just going to back off here. What's going on top side?
Well, Carino was just trying to apply some pressure so Shine, you know, didn't lose his tower. But honestly, Rocky, I don't think cares. Because look, he already has enough time to put down the vision deep into that jungle. Is able to track the Azir moving their way up. Just by that ward in the tri-brush as well into the river. And Shine, you need to learn your lesson, man. You can't go into this lane. You need assistance from Caspiel, but he's on a Zac and he's elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, elsewhere on the map, meaning he is trying to respond to any potential kill threat coming in from June, and June has really been such a massive force for Mega coming into this game. You look at the kill scores right now, and you're like, oh, 0-1 Java, and sure, that's fine. That looks like a pretty standard game. No, June across the board right now has been in the right place at the right time, finding objectives for a team, applying pressure where it needs to be placed.
Well, a big one too is Caspiel. He's being tracked through the jungle. Look at the bot lane. Bot side jungle of Empire. There is a control ward on that red buff. There's one toward the brush between mid lane and the red buff. You got one coming into the tri-brush. They are tracking the Zac. Caspiel, sure, he's trying to make a play elsewhere on the map, but he can't because Mega have full knowledge of where he's going. A lot of that is from Jaejun, you know, continually pushing into the jungle and clearing out the vision so others can come on in.
And once again, low priority Rift Herald there, barely finds any damage onto that bot lane. Out of your turret, doesn't get any tower plating gold for them whatsoever. So we look at the gold difference right now, it's about 3,000. We can start to see that really compound. A lot of that up in the top side. All that tower plating gold plus that first brick in the top lane means that Silas, Rocky in a good position right now. So MG really have to work with this snowball because Silas, he's that early lane bully. He's really able to oppress a lot of strong... He's really able to oppress a lot of strong early game champions, but the Vladimir does scale up late.
Does scale up late, but like you mentioned, it's almost a 50 CS lead on Rocky on top of that first blood, on top of the first brick gold. The Silas just got injected with a bunch of gold, has that protobell completed, also now working toward the Sheen item, likely going to be an Iceborne sometimes we see coming out from the Silas. Also some Dark Seals to add on top of it, because this is 9.6, so you know things haven't been changed too much with the item. Honestly, timer's ticking. It really depends whether Rocky can actually apply this pressure elsewhere on the map. Like you mentioned, he does have that teleport. And we know Empire, they like to try and force fights in that bot lane where there's an opportunity. I think this time, Mega are going to be waiting for it.
Yeah, Mega actually want this bot lane fight, and I don't think Rocky really needs to try and find pressure elsewhere on the map. Yes, it would probably be good if he did, but as long as Rocky is really able to just stick up in the top lane, as long as he has kill threat over the Vladimir, then that's all he needs. That's all the team needs from Rocky to have right now. And the rest of the team, they can go for the dragon, they can go for the picks, try and catch out this bot lane. But B-Dun's there. Now with all the summoners up, a pretty safe bot lane position, but not something that Mega can't play from.
Here, Lloyd going to be opting into the Rage Blade after the Storm Razor being completed on the Kaisa. Ocean Drake being started up here by Mega. They already got themselves the Infernal Dragon. They're going to keep denying Empire means of way of getting back into this game, denying those neutral objectives. It's now a 4,000 gold lead at 17 minutes. Rocky still even hunting now in the jungle for the Zac.
Right, but I mean, Empire kind of have to be thanking their lucky storage to kind of go, all right, it's just the Ocean Drake. It's not the biggest problem for us in the world. Not all that many spell slingers on the side of MG that really benefit from having that Ocean Drake at least, so they can still play this one out. It's not the most crucial objective taken away from them. That Infernal Dragon is going to hurt a little bit, but that's going to take a while before it really finds relevancy.
The issue, though, you take a look at the gold totals that were just on your screen. Every position has an advantage, and Mega are looking to add on to these totals for a possible play here in the bot lane, trying to at least force out the Featherstorm, possibly from Ravina. Caspiel is nearby, but it looks like Jaejun going to go ahead and head back to the base. Yeah,
looking to not waste too much time down the bot lane. Baron spotting up in about 2 minutes. MG should look to get a little bit more vision control around the top side. So we can already see a number of probing wards, just trying to get a little bit of an idea towards the big choke points, towards the movements of Caspiel in that jungle. But you can see it's a little bit lacking right now, so they're not able to get more information, deeper information about the movements of the Zac. So instead, G4, he's going to take that mantle for himself. He's going to step forward, drop the zombie ward, drop the ward over by the wolf camp, and this means they know exactly where the Zac is.
Almost every single camp has a ward on it or a ward near it in the jungle for Caspiel. The only one that's pitch dark is this red buff. Even get the Raptor camp can be seen by that control ward just right there. It really makes it hard for this Zac to find these flank positions, because honestly, that's the uniqueness of Zac. You can use the slingshot from far away. You can get out of range of the vision that's usually laid down. Mega have adjusted to that. It's going to allow them to take their second tower of the game and expand this gold lead to 4,500. But guess what? They're looking for a play here on the side of Empire. They have the man advantage. It depends, though. Are they able to do anything with it? Because Lloyd just comes beaming across the screen with the killer instinct into a three-man cataclysm. They look to disengage with the Emperor's Divide. They're able to do so. Blade Caller also going to stun up multiple members of Mega. They only lose the Rakan in the end, but Mega, they have the inside track, possibly now to go for this first tier tower in mid lane.
Big play. You can really see the power of MG's composition there, finding the flag and drag over into the Cataclysm, locking them down with the heroic entrance, forces Summoner's Spells away from EMP to respond to that. Mega really finding their stride in that fight there. They get that one kill. It's not the number of the kills that you get, but the quality of the kills and the amount of pressure they're able to find with that, being able to break open their mid lane outer tier turret. Now they open up the map a lot more, and Caspiel has to resort to a much safer jungle pathing.
Well, you just look at the economy when it comes to summoner spells. Empire, they are the ones that took that fight, and they ended up blowing 4 flashes. Meanwhile, on the side of Mega, there was only one. That was J-John, looking to engage on the Jarvan. Everyone else still has their flash available. One of them being that Galio too. Pop can now really look for one of those choke fights, and Empire, they're not going to be able to respond. Again, another delay to this game timer as far as Empire goes, where they just kind of, nullified on the map. They can't look for risky plays because they will get punished.
It's sort of always been a thing playing against Mega though. No matter what title they had, no matter what name they were playing under, you always knew up against these players you could never go for that big risky play, because even up against international teams, against some of the world's best, Mega, they have the power to team fight and skirmish against that. It's always been an issue with their vision control, with the macro gameplay from them that's really been highlighted by a lot of the other teams from international regions.
Look at this, Empire. There's just no way of denying vision at the moment. There's now going to be a sweeper coming out from Caspiel. He's going to possibly try and go for this. Mega have full knowledge of this just across the river. They're lucky they didn't get engaged upon, because guess what? Rocky's down in the bot lane. He's pushing in on second tier tower. G4's also split pushing. Mega are happily fine with Empire wasting their time mid.
Yeah, and we already see Silas going for the Morello and Omicron, getting some grievous wounds to dish out onto the Vladimir there. So they can't. So he's gonna be. This is kind of what Rocky is now become. He's become relegated down to whatever lane the Vladimir ends up in, trying to oppress him as much as he can, push out the turret, dishing out damage where he can, and trying to find the turret if the team allows him to. And over on the side of Mega, the rest of the team, they just go, all right, is Dragon up? No. Pressure Baron. Is Baron up? Yeah. Can we do Baron? No? Alright, go get Dragon. And rinse and repeat. It's just this endless conditional if statement. If they find either of these objectives, to just rotate over. Because right now, they just need to stall out long enough for Empire to make a mistake.
So now if you're on the side of Empire, you're pretty much saying, what Mega's waiting for? How does Empire stop the bleeding? It's now a 6,000 gold lead at 22 minutes. They're starting to lose out on, once again, another Elemental Drake. You know what the next objective's going to be? It's going to be that Baron.
Absolutely.
What does Empire have to do to stop them?
So I feel like Empire is already doing a pretty decent job with this, so the Vladimir not dying anymore, only about 40 CS behind, is already a pretty big boon over to the side of Empire. We do see Shine becoming that late game threat when he needs to be, along with Furion here. So the most important thing for Empire is to prevent the Baron. They can lose the Dragons, it's not a big issue. As long as they maintain Baron control, prevent the team from being able to pick that up, they should be able to get into late game with the damage they drafted in the Pix and Man phase.
Shine forced to use the pool immediately, and Rocky can just step forward, and Shine, realizing from his mistakes before, just going to go ahead and back off. There's going to be a second tier tower going over to Mega, now starting to really crack open this bot lane. And Shine is going to have to try and defend against the inhibitor tower now, as Rocky's going to continue with this relentless push.
This is working so well for Mega. They needed to respond to Rocky down to the bot lane. The damage that he's able to dish out onto the Vladimir. Vladimir, now I was saying for a little bit he was catching up in CS, only about 40 behind, but we can just see every time Rocky moves in for kill range, The CS gap grows significantly against Shine. So right now, Empire, they need to realize that they need to get the Vladimir into a stronger position. They need to get the Azir into a stronger position. And even if the Kai'Sa, not the Kai'Sa, even if the Xayah ends up dying here, it's not that big of a deal because you still have those two big carries in the form of the top laner and mid laner.
The Castful spots out these wards that were put down by Mega. That's my big thing here. You can even tell. Vision score, so it's not always clear all the time. It's been telling this story for Mega. They have been able to deny vision from Empire. Empire has been forced to keep their vision so tight and clean. Look at this. They can only get toward the entrances in the mid lane. Everywhere else, they're getting just spot wards here and there, maybe getting it into the Baron Pit because of the blue trinket on both the AD carry and now the Azir in mid lane. As Mega, they say, cool, we're just going to go back into your jungle, we're just going to clear out your vision, and then you're blind once again. I
mean, Mega, since the offseason, have gotten a lot better with that macro gameplay, that vision control. Really being able to make full use of the experience they've had over multiple iterations of competition, going for the international competitions. It's always been down to, almost always been down to a Thailand versus Vietnam finals.
On top of that, too, you got to wonder, you know, having that strategic coach now in the form of Warlock. You have Big Fafa, who has LSPL experience. That's the developmental league here in China for the LPL, and Challengers Korea. There's a lot of experience being brought in. There's about 4 years of coaching alone on that. And Mega, they're trying to now force Empire to have to make a decision. Do we try and prevent the Baron, or do we lose out on our inhibitor tower in bot lane?
Yeah, it looks like Rocky's doing so well to pressure down to the bot lane, just being able to find some chip damage on the turret every chance he gets, especially now with that Lich Bane. Means he's going to be able to do so much more damage onto that bot lane inhibitor turret.
On top of that, too, he stole away Shine's ultimate. If you look here, he has teleport. Sure, Shine can try and use his teleport at the same time. Guess what? They're both going to come in there and play down a Hemo Plague. And right now, I kind of favor Rocky a bit more. He's got the health to back it up. He can also do a lot more, apply CC.
You know what this is? This is Rocky saying, anything you can do, I can do better.
Ooh, G4. Lots of respect there coming out, realizing he got caught out. He was getting a little too aggressive. Gonna use his flash. He won't have that to try and jump right on top of the Azir right away. There's Zhonya's now completed, though, for Carino, so that's pretty nice to have. Again, the rough time here on the side of Empire. Big thing is Mega's gold lead has not really grown over the last 5 minutes. It's been stuck here around 8,000. For Empire, you know, that's almost a sigh of relief. You haven't lost out on this bot lane inhibitor tower just yet. Rocky has not been able to pressure that fully. Empire can look to try and, you know, pressure as much of the wave as they possibly can, but you can see in the picture-in-picture, again, Shine has to go back to the fountain, and there's a minion wave for Rocky that's getting closer and closer.
Look, you asked me earlier about how Empire can find a way to stem the bleeding, to stop losing out against Mega, and I didn't feel like it was any issue because they already looked like they had an idea of what they needed to do coming into this. They moved in, they've managed to hold out this position. It just feels like bot lane right now. The Vladimir versus Silas matchup is becoming a little bit problematic. I don't think the Vladimir is able to hold out against Rocky for much longer. They're going to lose that bot lane inhibitor turret, and when that happens, it opens up a huge avenue for Mega to really brute force their way in.
Good. Jaejun.
Jaejun.
And his way around. Mega's going to continue to stack themselves up in this mid lane to apply pressure. Rocky, though, starts up the next Elemental Drain. This one's going to be a mountain. Castful gets on top of Lloyd, but guess what? Instant killer instinct. Auto attack onto the jungler. He gets within range to actually get across the wall. Castful, engage is gone. Doesn't have that ultimate available. And Lloyd keeps his flash. He's happy at this point. Empire, I like what they're trying to do, but the tools available for Mega make it really hard.
Yeah, it's such a short cooldown on the killer instinct. You can already see it visibly ticking away. They will have that up for the next fight. They want to try and pick up this Mountain Dragon as well. This is the one that MG have been looking for since the beginning of the game. They have 4 dragons, and that's their first Mountain Drake. That's going to help them shred down this Baron, but at this point, they have so much damage. I don't see that being an issue at all.
Empire look to defend here. They have 4 members in mid lane trying to clear out some of this vision. Rocky, though, he sits himself back up in that bot lane. He's going to keep knocking on that door, and this time, it's going to fall. Empire, the time has come. What do you decide to do here? Because Rocky's now in your base, shredding apart your inhibitor, and Mega are getting away with it clean free. Do they get on top of Pop? That's going to be the stopwatch being used immediately. Lloyd does have the Runaan's applying some stacks. That's going to be the kill onto the Galio. That's going to force the teleport out of the Silas, but G4, he's looking for the flank.
Yeah, if they're able to find this, there is that teleport still left onto Shine, so they might want to try and make the more prudent play and not go for a find where they don't have to. But still, EMP being able to find that catch over onto Pop. Pop didn't expect that flash away, went golden too quickly, ended up being locked down there. Now EMP trying to pressure around this bear, but there's no chance for them to try and pick this one up.
In the end, Rocky was not able to get the inhibitor. G4 maybe caught out here, doesn't have flash available. He's going to turn that around and immediately get the passive being procced onto that Zac. He's going to try and go for that kill. He's trying. Quickness is there. G4, he's just juking left and right. Deathmark is going to be popped. They get the Zed, but meanwhile, Rocky's able to find the kill onto Shine.
Not quite sure what G4 was trying to do there. He realized that there are multiple targets chasing after him, looking to try and kill him off. Oh my goodness, and one by one, they all just try to stall for time. Stop the ports.
Mid lane, Lloyd was pushing in and was able to get the second tier tower in mid lane. That now really opens up the midsection of the map for Mega. They can apply that ward coverage a little bit deeper and start to catch out Empire every time they try and move up to contest the Baron.
Yeah, but this might just be the Baron call coming in for Mega. If they look to try and break this one, it's a little bit more of an aggressive play. But instead, they're just going to try and go back, reset a little bit, and then move in for the next big fight. Because Empire, they're going to be looking to try and reset and come back to this Baron as well.
Castle coming on over, going to be able to clear out some of the ward coverage that was put down. Vandy Edge now completed for Lloyd. On top of that, Runaan's and Rage Blade. This Kaisa is going to be doing a lot of damage during these team fights. It's going to be a Phantom Dancer for Ravina on the Xayah. Take another look across the board too. Void Staff now coming in online for the Azir. Carino's going to start doing a decent amount of damage if he's able to survive these fights. Majority of the summoners are up. One crucial one, though, for Empire is down, and that's the flash from their Khan. And that's been their main source of engage.
Yeah, that flash down from Zeri is going to impact them quite a decent amount. You know, we talked about how that Lovers duo bot lane wasn't really looking to try and get a strong early game. Instead, it's really when the Rakan is able to find a strong engage that he has that relevancy. And right now, that's really the point where we're starting to expect that coming in from the Rakan. But it still is going to be a bit of a problem. Because even if Rakan gets a good engage, I still feel like Kirino is still too far away from the point where he's dishing out enough damage to stop and kill off MG.
We'll see here, Empire, they decide they have to make this call here. They're going to start up this Baron. Mega, where is the opportunity? Where do they try and go for? No flash available for the Galio. It's going to be G4 just jumping in and almost gets taken out. Ravina's able to take the kill. Meanwhile, bot lane, though, Rocky is pushing onto the base. It's a 5v4. Mega at the disadvantage. But guess what? Rocky, he's just pushing for Nexus towers at the moment. No one from Empire can stop this. Rocky, they can't do it. The Sheen's going to take that out. Rocky is able to backdoor the base of Empire. Caspel, sure, he comes on in, but the Kingslayer, he just denies him, and Rocky literally carries the team to victory, taking game 2.
What was that one? What was that play? What? Rocky goes into, walks down bot lane. He's been that pressure point, that pain for Empire the entire game. They had no response.
We said, you know, Rocky, you know, the timer's ticking. If you can take that inhibitor, you really need to make a play, Empire. And they said, okay, Opal, I believe you. I'm going to go ahead and try and take a Baron. And meanwhile, Rocky's like, okay, I have myself this lovely minion wave. I have some super minions. And you guys are fighting. I'm just going to go ahead and take your base.
The fact
oh
that...
my lord.
The fact that Rocky has been doing this since minute one. Minute one going into the matchup up against Vladimir, it really looks like Mega has Empire's number. They figured them out. They've gone in and said, oh, look, if they're going to play the Vladimir, if they're going to play the champions, they always play top lane. We will counter that. We will put Rocky a mechanically equal, if not better, top laner to match that lane. And you can just see how that plays out for Mega coming into this. Empire have never had to deal with a matchup in the top lane where Shine couldn't just outright win. This is this moment where it's really Mega's time to shine.
No, for sure. Like, Mega, it's... You know, we said, stem the bleeding, Empire. Try and do what you could to try and stall out the game. And honestly, it was 3 to 4 the kills, 3 to 6. They weren't losing out. They were just losing those objectives. But Rocky, The one-man army for Mega, it would seem, was able to crack open that base by himself and take home the victory for Mega, who are now 1 game away from locking in their ticket to the mid-season invitational. We're going to go ahead and send it back on over to the casting desk to help maybe give a little bit more information on what the heck I just watched.
Thank you, gentlemen. We will try to give you that information, but let's first start with how Game 2 started. Mega are now at match point, and unlike Game 1, this was a horrible draft this time around coming in from Empire, because Game 1, granted, had a few nitpicky things that he wanted to kind of take a look at, like the Akali pick. Game 2 was just like, what the heck was going on there, Empire?
Yeah, it was a complete contrast. It's like from the beginning they were doomed to fail, but it was just more like the draft that they planned it was very difficult to execute in the first place, and it was more like Mega, if they win the lane, it's harder for Empire to actually win the game. So at this point, I've never seen Mega lose early, or rather win early and lose the game entirely. So the technique, what you have to do is draft certain picks that wins early, like a really good 1v1 or 2v2 matchup, but we didn't see that in the draft here for Empire.
It also feels so strange, Yurif, that you talked about during the first match, and we all agreed. Shine is that split pushing threat for Empire. We saw him being subbed into the match against Resurgence where he finally got his debut. And for this matchup, it was a Zed and a Silas being picked up by the side of Mega, whereas Empire didn't have anything to deal with either of those two threats. You had a Vladimir who's trying to scale to late game, loses the matchup against Silas, and then a stronger split pushing threat of Zed if it ever came to that point.
Yes, I don't think this was a very good draft, or at least a very good composition for the side of Empire. And first of all, I don't know why they let Silas open again. They had a hard time at top. He had a hard time at top against Silas previous game, and they just left it open. And then he picked a champion that's supposed to scale to late game, but he again left Silas open, allowing him to not even be able to scale. He just lost the turret. He lost everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me kind of wonder what else, Shine can play, because based from what we've seen so far, we've never seen anything new. If ever Mega decides to focus ban on him again, then what is left for him to be comfy within the game?
And let's talk about the early game of this matchup. You know, we had a couple of fights here and there, all of them going in Mega's favor. You know, the kill bot lane. We had the solo kills onto Shine, top side of the map, and we're kind of questioning what's going on there. We know Vladimir is a pick that scales to late game. We know it's a pick that they want to use in the late game team fights, but we actually didn't get to see it come online. Look at the damage coming out from Silas in that match. He was just destroying Vladimir over and over again.
Yeah, he was having a fun time there at the top side of the map, and then once that top side was open, Rocky was just, you know, I'm done with top, let's move at bot, which makes, you know, Baron more vulnerable later on. And as you can see, 15,000, the highest damage output in the whole game in total, but it was a low death game.
Yeah, a total of 8 kills throughout the match, one of them being on top of Empire's Nexus. So it was technically 3 kills to 4 to end that game. It's a little bit unorthodox coming in from the two teams. This was the final fight, and it was a little bit of a resident sleeper of a match until this point. Empire were just slowly bleeding out gold, and they tried to make the play towards Baron.
Yeah, it was a little difficult knowing the fact that that backdoor happened. It was whittled away slowly and slowly by Rocky here. And once you invest so much time at topside or wherever else, then that means Rocky is, you know, I'm just going to ride with a wave, with a minion wave, and just slowly whittle down your base. And that's what exactly happened here in game number 2.
Unfortunately, at this point in time, Rocky is just way too fed. Even if Vlad has forced himself to just stay and try and deal with him, he couldn't. And Vlad's more of a team fighting champion in it, so they're trying to, you know, utilize that fact and maybe force a fight in Baron, but then Rocky he just took the whole thing.
It's just one of those scenarios where you have to burn the Baron and try and get back to base to defend against the split push, because the damage is already dealt.
Yes.
We talked about this earlier. No way to deal with the Silas. He had free reign in the side lanes, and that's somewhere where Empire's been strong the entire split, so kind of blindsided here. And you have to think that's probably going to be on the coaching staff. Coming in from Mega here, they were able to draft really well against Empire coming into the match number 2. Empire, on the other hand, they don't have coaching staff coming into this game. They are just a 5-man unit with 2 of their subs behind them trying to give some advice here and there. But it was Rocky that picked up the MVP, rightfully so. Who else could you give it to during that match?
Yeah, it was an amazing match for Rocky, and I'm sure Shine didn't have that, opportunity to shine in the game like he always does, or most of the time in the matches that he's in. But right now, what I'm seeing here, Caspiel on the Zac wasn't able to create much impact, so I kind of wonder if there's going to be a shift in the draft coming for game number 3.
Exactly, because even looking back at the semifinals yesterday, the entire philosophy behind Mega's success has been Jun dictating the flow of the game. We said that was a key point for Mega's victory. Empire have had very little jungle pressure. Caspiel did fine on the Zac. He did fine on the Java in the first game, but there was no pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, it reminded me of Brandon when he said pick Lee Sin on Caspiel and it's 0 impact in the game. So I kind of
Redemption
wonder...
Lee Sin coming up.
Yeah, maybe another Lee Sin coming up. We don't know because Jarvan seemed to be the comfy, or maybe perhaps a Rek'Sai for Caspiel to create a better impact with his teammates.
City, what do you think needs to be changed going into Game 3 if Empire want to stand a chance to go back, to try and find that, reverse sweep against Mega?
No, first of all, I do think they should just ban out the Sylas. Just don't leave it open anymore. And if we're going to allow, Shine to split push and do what he's good at, they have to give him a champion who can at least, fight 1v1 in the lane, or at least just do some impact early game, right? Instead of waiting to scale late game where they're already at a point where they can't return anymore. And also, I would prefer to see bot lane to be picking probably something a little bit more defensive. So maybe swap it a little bit, give the aggressive champions, more oppressive champions to top and mid, and pick safer utility champions at bot, because that's where their strength lie.
Oh, yeah, I like that idea. There is a history for Rivenna playing, Sivir a lot, just aiming for the wave clear.
Yeah, you just need to survive,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's the case.
If Mega want to go 3-0 here, Riku, and make Grandin a very happy man, get some revenge for Singapore, how do they do it? What do Mega have to do to push the pain point against Empire and take it after Game 3?
Well, they don't have to change their formula about win lane, win game. That's basically aim for the matchups, aim for the draft, and then just let not Caspiel do his thing.
Well, there you have it. It was a very close Game 1, but Game 2 completely fell apart for Empire as Mega assert their dominance. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back as Mega are currently at match point going into Game 3.